GodFall, getting some GodFall, about to play some GodFall. And hello everybody. Today we're gonna go over the might stat. I got a little bit of math for you. I keep getting these replies from folks sharing their builds, and all they share with me is the stat page. And they go, well, look, I got 5,000 might. I have 50,000 might. And I don't know anything else about their build except that they've got might. Well, let me show you a little bit about might, and this might help you with your builds as well. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Okay, I did a little spreadsheet and I completely disassembled my Aegis horn and took all the augments off of it and added a very basic longsword to it to do a little testing, and I wanted to share it with y'all. So, again, I want to make this little disclaimer. I am not a mathematician. This is not exactly my bread and butter, but I know a little bit about it. I know the basics. Feel free to critique me as you need to, but I think my math is pretty solid for this. What we're going to be looking at here is might. So right off the bat, with a stripped Aegis horn, we have 1,000 might. All right here. And a regular hit with a longsword on the training dummy in our armor area is 235. The soul shatter that you get from that hit is 155. A heavy hit, 352. The weapon technique south, 703. The weapon technique north is 4 hits of 235. And the soul shatter you get from one north weapon technique attack is 937. Okay, well, where are we going with these numbers? All right. So what I did is I found myself a augment that does not affect the weapon, but adds might to illustrate what it does. So I added 171 might, and here is what we came up with. The longsword hit is now 252 damage. That is an increase of 7.23%, as you can see here. That means per point, you're getting 0.04, and all those numbers percent of 1% per point. Okay, we following here? Next, it did affect soul shatter. So it increased the damage on the soul shatter. So the damage from might that adds onto the light hit adds onto the soul shatter as well. I'm sure most of you already knew that, but I'm just illustrating how it increases. And you can see here how much per point, how much increase in percentage. Right along the lines of might, slightly less. And then there is our heavy hit, which is slightly less than the light attack as far as increase goes, but it did increase the damage. Might does not affect weapon technique at all. 0. Does not affect weapon technique at all. It does not affect the soul shatter from the weapon technique either. Just so we're clear on that. So, moving on, let's add some more. Let's see how the numbers change, shall we? So I added another 171 augment that does not affect any of the regular hits, and we got about the same increase overall. The numbers started changing a little bit for the soul shatter. As you can see here, we are at 0.0433, so there was a little bit of an increase as the might started to stack. Same with the heavy attack. Little increase, not much. So I got it in my mind, okay, let's try more. So I added 795 might, and it stayed relatively the same, slightly getting more per point as you stack more might. And then we go down to, well, no, I'm sorry. I said this wrong. You get slightly less. So then I added 795 might. And what you're going to see here is that it starts curving, and you start getting slightly less per point of might as the amount of might you have goes up. It's very minimal and hardly noticeable, but the math tells us it is starting to diminish. You can see here how much per point you're getting. Everything's scaling though, so neat little side note is that the Soul Shatter scaled with the increase in might, which is cool. I will go into Soul Shatter math at another time, not now. So I was like, well, what happens when I add even more might? So I found every item and every augment I could that didn't affect the damage of the hits, didn't affect Soul Shatter, and did not affect Heavy Hit. So what that means is I looked for items that didn't have the weapons element, didn't have the specific weapon damage, didn't have Soul Shatter build up on it, and I started making attacks with it. So here's what I found is the numbers went along with what I was saying before, but what I found was at some point the numbers started curving up again, and I slightly got an increase in value per point of might. Not a very large one, but you can see there is a increase in value. That increase being 0.0424987006 versus the previous at 795 added might of 0.0422855561. And as you can see down here, I'm not going to name off the numbers again, but you do see an increase. Whereas after we had dropped off up here from 342 and 795, it started going back up again. This surprised me. I didn't expect to see this, so I went back and I triple checked my numbers. There is nothing that I can find wrong with the way that I'm testing. Anyone else that wants to dispute this, please feel free to share your findings. I would love to learn more. I'm not out here to be right. I am just out here to help enlighten a subject. That is it. On that note, there is one thing I need to clarify, is that might does not affect Soul Shatter overall. It affects the Soul Shatter you get from the light hit only, not Soul Shatter overall. There are differences in the way Soul Shatter is applied in the game besides the light hit. Just want to put that out there. Okay, so what did I get from this? Well, my first idea that I came up with when I figured out a little bit about how might worked was, well, I want to work on Soul Shatter and maybe make a different Soul Shatter build at some point. I know there's a lot out there, and that the Soul Shatter builds can make some really big DPS. I understand that. I have seen them. But, you know, I want to try my own thing. I want to see what I can come up with. Hopefully it's something that can entertain you all and is easy to understand. If you like what I did here, please leave a like, add a subscribe. If you have any requests that you want me to look into, please let me know. I am very open-minded. I want to talk with y'all, and I'm waiting to hear from you eagerly. And until next time, I wish you well.